Welcome to the credit game. In this video, you'll learn how to leverage your credit score for maximum benefits. Building your credit score is a game, and just like any game, once you know the rules, it's a lot easier to win. Mastering this concept can save you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. We're going to cover three things. First, what a credit score actually is and why it matters, then how your score is calculated, and then the exact steps to build and improve your score. This video is part of the Cashflow Explorer program and is part of level 4, always safety first. Okie dokie, so let's dive into credit scores. First section is the definition section. Let's start with credit. So anytime that you are borrowing money, you are using credit. So when you get a mortgage or a car payment or student loans, that's all credit. And you may think, well, what's the big deal? Well, depending on your credit score, you get very different terms from who you're borrowing from. In this case, the couple has a credit score of 600 and they go out and buy a house. Maybe the house is $500,000 and their mortgage on it is $400,000. Their interest rate is 7.65%. So their monthly payment is $2,838. Now look at the same couple if their credit score was 200 points higher. They get the exact same house and the exact same mortgage, but the interest rate is 6.25, so it's well over a percentage point difference. Their monthly payment is $2,463. So not only are they paying about $400 less for the same house, but over the course of the entire mortgage, they're going to be saving $135,000 in interest. So this is the real world impact of having a good credit score. You can think of your credit score essentially as your financial trust score. Your credit score is a number, typically between 300 to 850, and it represents how reliably you manage debt. The higher the number, the more lenders, landlords, and institutions trust that you'll be able to pay your obligations on time. And the most widely used model is the FICO score. And here's a rough breakdown of how the ranges are interpreted. Below 580 is generally poor and difficult to qualify for most loans in the first place. The next tier is fair, and where you have higher rates and still less access to most types of debt. Once you get into the higher range of the 600s, your credit score is good. I'd say it's solid, but there's definitely room for improvement. When you hit the mid 700s and higher, your credit is considered very good and you still get excellent terms. But then 800 and above is exceptional and you get the best available rates. You may have heard Dave Ramsey say that you should cut up all your credit cards and stay completely out of debt. He is not wrong that debt is dangerous if it gets out of control, but his approach has a real cost. If you avoid credit entirely, you will have no credit score when you need to buy a home or if you need to finance a car. And that creates real problems. Lenders need data on you. No data means no loan, or you get way worse terms. And I'll be honest, this was my family. We grew up following Dave Ramsey's principles, and it gave me a really good financial foundation on budgeting. So I had good habits and no unnecessary debt, and I was very disciplined with my spending. That served me well. But it also meant by the time that I was in my early 20s, I had zero credit history. I didn't have a bad score, I had no score at all, but I'll get into more of that later. The right approach is to play the credit game intentionally without going overboard. So use credit cards strategically, pay them off in full every month, keep the spending disciplined. You are not using credit to finance your lifestyle or extend your purchasing power. You're using it to just build a track record of trust with lenders. And then the game rewards you for having access to credit without needing it. So just to go over this again, the benefits of a strong credit score means you get a lower interest rates on mortgages and car loans that can save you tens of thousands of dollars. You get better credit card terms and access to higher tier reward cards. And you can even get savings on your insurance and have an easier time being approved for apartments. Okay, most people have no idea what actually goes into their credit score. They think it's just about paying bills on time, but it's a bit more nuanced than that. And once you understand the formula, you can make very intentional moves to improve each part of it. The beautiful thing about the FICO scoring system is that the formula is publicly known. It's not the exact math, but the relative weights of each factor. So if you know what is being measured and by how much, you can essentially engineer your score over time. So you're not guessing, you actually have a clear blueprint. The FICO score is calculated using 5 factors, and here's how each one is weighted and what it means and how to improve it. The first one is payment history. This is the single biggest factor in your score. It measures whether you pay your bills on time, every time, and one missed payment can drop your score significantly, and multiple late payments can do serious damage. So if you're trying to improve this, you want to set every credit card to auto pay the full statement balance every month. So, not the minimum payment, but the full balance. This ensures you never miss a payment and you never carry a balance. The next factor is your credit utilization. This measures how much of your total available credit that you are actually using. So, if you have a credit limit of $10,000 and you're carrying a $3,000 balance, your utilization is 30%. The target is to keep your utilization below 10%, ideally below 5%. So the lower the better. This might feel counterintuitive because you have all this available credit and you're supposed to barely touch it, but that is the game. So lenders want to see that you can be trusted with credit, not that you actually need it. And there's two levers to improve your credit utilization. The first is to spend less relative to your limit and pay off the full balance all the time. And then second, you actually want to increase your limit by opening new accounts. We'll cover that more in the third section. Next is your length of credit history. So this measures how long your credit accounts have been opened. A longer history signals more experience managing debt. To improve this, you want to open accounts early and then be patient. And also don't close your old credit cards, even ones that you barely use anymore, because closing a card shortens your average account age, and that can actually lower your score. An old card with a small recurring subscription on autopay is doing a lot of work for you in the background, but more on that later. Next up is credit inquiries. Every time you formally apply for a new credit card or a loan, the lender does a hard pull on your credit, and this temporarily lowers your score by a few points. Multiple hard pulls in a short window can look like a red flag. It makes it look like you're desperately seeking new credit opportunities. So, in order to improve it, you want to limit your credit applications. Don't be applying for new credit frequently. When you're researching new cards or rates, look for options that do a soft pull, which is a credit check that does not affect your score. Most pre-qualification tools use soft pulls. Only proceed to a formal application when you've decided that you're ready to commit to that product. And then the last factor is your credit mix. And this measures whether you have experience managing different types of credit. So credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, student loans, and a diverse mix can help your score a little bit. But my honest take is that this is the least important factor and the one to think about last. Do not go out and get an auto loan or a personal loan just to improve your credit mix. Please don't do that. The payoff is so small and the cost of unnecessary debt is so much higher. So focus on the big two: payment history and utilization first. Credit mix will take care of itself naturally over time, but it's not something to optimize for. Just let this one happen naturally. To summarize these different levers, we want to improve our payment history and get more payments under our belt. We also want to lower our credit utilization and how much we're using. We want to increase the length of our credit, and then we want to reduce the amount of credit inquiries we have. Credit mix, you don't want to increase it, just leave that one alone. If you're curious what your credit score is, you are actually entitled to a free credit report from each bureau once per year. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. It's an official government authorized site, and then you can pull your information. This will give you the detailed breakdown. So all of the accounts in your name, every payment, every inquiry, and you can review it for errors because mistakes on your credit report do happen and they can drag your score down unfairly. Within that annual credit report, you'll see that your credit score is tracked by 3 separate credit bureaus: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Each one collects data independently, and your score will probably be a little bit different between them, depending what each of them has on file. So lenders will often check one or more of these when you apply for credit. So you'll be seeing the same information that the lenders are looking at. You can also sign up for credit monitoring through free tools. I personally use Monarch Money. It shows the credit score right on the main dashboard along with the rest of my financial picture. I've also heard that people really like Credit Karma, Chase, or Capital One's tools. So you can get an in-depth annual credit report that has all of the information, and then you can also sign up for consistent, ongoing credit monitoring, and that can let you know instantly if something's wrong. And here's a ranger tip to freeze your credit. A credit freeze locks your credit file at each bureau. So when your credit is frozen, no one, including you, can open new credit accounts in your name. So if a thief gets your personal information, they cannot use it to open up a credit card or take out a loan. Freezing your credit is completely free. You go to these 3 bureau websites and you can freeze it or unfreeze it within minutes. And if you know that you've been involved in a data breach or if your personal information has been compromised, it's another good time to freeze your credit. Just remember that before you apply for a mortgage, a car loan, a new credit card, or apartment rental, you just need to unfreeze, you can apply, and then you refreeze afterwards. It just takes a few minutes. It throws an extra step in there to freeze your credit, but if you're not actively applying for anything, a freeze is a smart, free layer of protection. It is a quick and easy way to get some identity theft protection. And just to reiterate, freezing your credit just means you can't get new credit, but you still build your credit score even when your credit is frozen, so it's a no-brainer. Now let's get into how to play the game. Remember that your credit score is your financial trust score, and that raising it is a game. Starting from zero credit is actually one of the most frustrating catch-22s in personal finance, because you need credit history to get approved for credit, but you cannot get credit history without being approved for something first. Most people don't know how to actually break in. When I was 23 living in California, I knew I would be moving back to the East Coast in the next couple of years, and I was looking at buying a house. So I started thinking what I would need to do to make that happen, and I realized I had no credit whatsoever. I tried to use my best friend's referral link to apply for a good rewards card with solid perks, and I was denied instantly. I was like, what? There must have been a mistake here. I've always practiced really good financial habits. I've never missed a bill. I've never carried debt. I've always lived within my means. I have been following Dave Ramsey's playbook to a T. How could they not trust me with a credit card? So I tried again, and I was denied again. Turns out there was no mistake. I just had no credit score at all. It was not a low score. I was just a credit ghost. So there was no data on me in the system, no history, nothing for them to evaluate. So when I was back in North Carolina, I had to drive to my hometown bank, the bank that my family has used for years, and I had to go with my mom, and she co-signed on a credit card application with me. The card had 0 perks, no travel points, no cash back, no welcome bonus. It was the most basic card they offered, and it was still a challenge to get. So that was my starting point, a basic card co-signed by my mom at my hometown bank. On the other hand, Amy's parents actually added her as an authorized user to one of her credit cards since she was young, so she has built up an incredible credit score over that time and didn't even have to do anything. So shout out to Amy for bringing her great credit score to our relationship. Let's get into what you can do to build your credit score. So first, you need to get in the game and get your first credit card. If you're a credit ghost like I was, you may need to start with a secured credit card, and I have a couple good options for you there. After you have your credit lines opened up, you then set up monthly automatic payments for the full statement balance. We do not want to be carrying a credit card balance. Use this essentially like a debit card and you pay it off every month. And once you get the hang of it and you can control it, you can add more cards over time and then you let that score grow. The Ranger tip here is to manage multiple credit cards and keep utilization low. Put one monthly subscription on each card. I'll show you how this works. These are the actual credit cards I got one by one as I built up my score. So that first one was with First Horizon Bank. It was a card I signed with my mom and it has a limit of $5,000. Well, nowadays we just put our Netflix subscription on there, which is I think $20 now. So our utilization is 0.4% on that one card. The second card I had to get was the Discover Secured card, and I opened that with a $200 deposit. Since I started that card with only a $200 limit, if I wanted to keep my utilization below 10%, I had to spend less than $20. So I would go to the grocery store and buy like a gallon of milk with this card. Nowadays, I put our home pest control subscription on it, so it's about 2% utilization. The third card I got was the first one that actually had perks, and it was the REI card. So on brand. This one has my first big boy limit of $20,000, but all I put on it is our Peacock subscription. I used to spend more money on this card, but now it just has our Peacock subscription, so our utilization is like 0.1%. Then my next card was the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, and this is actually the card that I tried to apply for 2 years earlier that had perks that I was denied for. So I finally made it. And this is where Amy and I put all of our household spending on this card because we want to maximize our travel rewards. Since all of our spending goes here, our utilization is actually closer to 10% on this card. And then most recently, now that we've had a baby, we also got the Amazon Prime Visa, which is great for cash back on all the things that are showing up at our house on a daily basis. However, we still don't spend a ton of money on this card, so it has about a 1% utilization. So when you do the math, I use about $3,000 of my credit every month, and we have almost an $85,000 credit limit. So our total credit utilization is about 3.5%. And remember, if you want to improve your utilization, you have to get more of a credit limit and then use less of it. If I still just had my First Horizon card only, my limit would be $5,000 and spending $3,000 of it, which is really bad credit utilization. So by adding cards over time, my limit goes higher, but I still don't use much of it. I'm not somebody that plays some crazy like travel hacking game with credit card points. I just don't have the time for that. So I like to keep my credit very simple. We use one Chase card for points, And then every other card essentially pays for one monthly subscription each on autopay for the full balance. So this builds credit because there are 5 successful monthly payments. It keeps our utilization low and it helps us manage old cards without closing them. So this is a strategy that's worked really well for us to build credit. And I'm happy to share after 4 years of building my credit, I'm now in the higher 700s. Your credit score is a bit of a paradox. You want to have a lot of credit, but then not use it. Like I said, I'm not super advanced in this travel hacking game, but I recommend that you get a great credit card with awesome rewards that is like travel points or cash back. As long as you are responsible with credit and you can pay off the balance every month, you should put all of your spending on this credit card that gives you the most bang for your buck. Remember, treat it like a debit card, but put all of your spending on it. And then if you want to play the credit game a little bit more, you can open up new credit cards that give you a larger points bonus up front. So if you know that you have planned big spending coming up, like a wedding, a vacation, or tax bill, you can time it so that you get a new credit card and then you put all that new spending on it, and then you get that new sign up bonus. However, don't get a new card that has a big sign up bonus with no plan to spend money, and then you just spend money to get the bonus. It's not worth it. And then you can redeem your everyday spending for free flights or hotels. So if you're going to be spending the money anyway, you might as well spend it on a credit card. That's why we put everything on our Chase Sapphire Preferred card to maximize our travel rewards, because that's what we really care about. We want to get out to more national parks, so we put it on the travel card. For another quick tip, you can add your kid as an authorized user on one of your credit cards, but only if you're responsible with credit. Please do not tank their credit score. But if you know you can manage that card responsibly, add them as an authorized user and help build their credit score for when they need it. All right, let's dive into the quick takeaways. So your credit score is your financial trust score, and it can save you thousands and tens of thousands over your lifetime, as well as the perks it brings you. Then for the calculation, the most important factors are payment history and low utilization. And when it comes to playing the game, get access to lots of credit, but use it sparingly. This picture of Dave Ramsey is just too good. So just remember, never justify a bad financial decision just to improve a credit score. Unnecessary debt is what we want to stay away from. If you can't pay off your credit cards every single month, you're playing with fire. For the action items, I highly recommend you download your annual credit report. It's free, and you can also sign up for monitoring. You can also open up new credit cards and then set up autopay for all of your current cards, and also consider freezing your credit. Well, there you have it. That is how you leverage your credit score for maximum benefits. The next video is the tax game, and this one is a doozy. You're going to understand the tax game better than 99.9% of people. I'll see you there.